How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Infinite Sports. I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder. To recap last night's game between the Yankees and the Rays, it was delayed for 2 hours due to bad weather, and the Yankees made it rain when it came to the long ball. They hit 9 home runs last night. Again, this is the second time they've done it this year. The all time record in a single game for home runs is 10, and that was the Cincinnati Reds, I believe. But once again, the Yankees tied their record from earlier this year when they did it against the Brewers. They also, for the third time this year, hit 3 home runs in a row between the likes of Aaron Judge, Cody Bellinger, and Giancarlo Stanton. They did it against the Brewers. That was a 9 homer game. Goldschmidt led off the game, Bellinger, and then Judge on 3 pitches. Then you also had against Baltimore later in the year. It was Trent Grisham, Judge, and I think it was Ben Rice, and then Bellinger homered too. I think that's what happened. But Judge has been a part of all three when the Yankees go back to back to back, and they didn't stop after that. Stanton had 2 home runs last night. Bellinger had 2 home runs last night. Jose Caballero had 2 home runs, and Ben Rice also, and Jazz Chisholm as well. Ben Rice had, I think, the longest homer of the night. Actually, no, Judge had the longest homer of the night. Ben Rice had a ball it looked like that one went further than Judge's, 406. Judge's home run in the first inning went 429. That was his 40th. And I think he tied, who did he tie? I think he tied, I think it was either Lou Gehrig or Mickey Mantle for 440 home run seasons. And, I wish Judge had more than that because he's got a long way to go before I think Babe Ruth leads the lead with 11. But the long ball was out last night. Yankees, they scored in every inning from the first inning to the fourth inning, a couple runs in the sixth inning, and then in the ninth inning as well. Carlos Rodon got the start last night. I didn't like how he looked early on in the game, and also when he was warming up as well. I mean, everything kind of got thrown off because of the weather, but as the pregame show was kind of zoning in on him. It didn't look like Rodon was pleased with how he was warming up, and then he got into a little bit of trouble in the game. A two-spot got put up against him in the bottom of the second inning, but once the Yankees really tacked on, he settled in, and the Rays, they kind of were just swinging away, trying to get themselves back in the game any way they could, but it just didn't happen. But Rodon was able to get through the sixth inning, which I thought was very important because I want the Yankee starters to go deep into games. Now, the sixth inning's not super deep into a game, but at least it makes a huge difference where you're not having to use an extra reliever. Yankees used 3 pitchers last night. After Rodon, they used Mark Leiter Jr. You saw Yerry De Los Santos, who got into a little bit of trouble, gave up a run, but was able to get through the eighth inning, and then Tim Hill came in for the ninth inning. So now you go into tonight's game and you got Cam Schlittler on the mound. But yeah, the Yankees, they were all over Shane Baz last night. Pitched 3 innings, 6 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. He gave up 5 home runs. And then you also had the left-hander Seymour gave up 3 home runs. And then Montgomery gave up a home run to Caballero. And Jose Caballero, it was his coming home party because the Rays traded him. And, they had a little bit of a tribute video for him before the game, and he went off against his former team. And he's been quite the pickup. He's been a pleasant surprise. He's the ultimate utility guy, could play all over the place, could steal bags, and he basically matched his home run total last night because he had 2 homers all season, and then he hit 2 home runs last night. So he provided a little bit of power for the Yankees last night. And also the other thing, too, with him, again, he is a backup shortstop. He could be a backup shortstop. So if Volpe gets cold and you want to give Caballero a chance and put him in the game, you could do that. You have the ability to do that and rest Anthony Volpe, which I think is very important. But this was a fun game to watch last night, just seeing the ball leave the yard. Everybody getting involved pretty much with the long ball. And this is what you see when this Yankee lineup is clicking. It could be very dangerous. Now, I don't want to get too crazy because, again, Shane Baz has not been good this year. And for the Yankees to really get me to buy back into this season, they have to play well against the team they're going up against next, and that's the Red Sox, who are actually already in New York because they played a 2-game set with the Orioles, and they ended up losing that game last night in extra innings. The Red Sox, they lost, what was it, 4-3 in extra innings? Yeah, 4-3 in extra innings in 11 innings. It was another good night for the Yankees because you also had the Mariners losing last night. The Astros lost again as well. So, between the Mariners and the Astros, if one of them is in the wild card, Yankees are ahead of them. The Yankees right now, as we are talking, are a game and a half up on both, well, on the Mariners, and then they're also up on the Red Sox as well. So, yeah, no, things are looking better for the Yankees. They've won 4 in a row, but they still got a lot of work to do. Giancarlo Stanton was back out there last night in right field after being out all 3 games against the Cardinals because of lower body soreness. And he hit 2 more home runs last night. This has probably been, and a few people have said this, and I was kind of thinking the same thing. Outside of the postseason, you look at what Stanton is doing right now. He's batting over 300, 14 homers, 38 ribbies, and 147 at-bats, and he's got an OPS over 1,000. This is arguably the best he's looked as a Yankee, really. Ever since he's come back, he is so important to this lineup, and hopefully Aaron Judge is back out there playing in right field, which we'll talk about that in a second, and he's back to DH because, again, do not want him tweaking something going after a ball in the outfield. But Stanton has been awesome. And like I said, this is what you get when the lineup is clicking. But I want to see the Yankees do, obviously not hit 9 home runs, but at least, hit better against better pitching. And you're going to see that this weekend, when they go up against Garrett Crochet. So it was a fun game to watch. But I did bring this up, and let's bring it up now. So with Judge getting back out to right field. So there was a little bit of miscommunication, it seems, a little bit of a disconnect between the manager, Aaron Boone, and Aaron Judge, because Aaron Boone, on an appearance on WFAN, said it's unlikely that Judge is going to be playing the outfield again this season. Or not unlikely, but unlikely he's going to get back to how he was prior to the elbow injury that he suffered. And Judge said, that's not true. I'm going to be back to being 100%. He said, I don't know why. Well, he basically said, I don't know why Boone said that. He said, Boone hasn't seen me throw. I'm going to get back to how I was prior to this injury, essentially. And then Boone later on said, I may be or I may have misstepped on, or overstepped on what I was trying to say. So there was a bit of a disconnect. And many people on social media up in arms over it, looking at that as kind of a way to say Boone's gone now because now Judge just spoke out against his manager. And I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit. I understand there was some miscommunication there, which that I do have a little bit of an issue with that. There should be clear communication on all fronts, whether it's with the medical team, Judge, Aaron Boone, everybody's got to be on the same page. That I do have a bit of an issue with, but I don't think it's the sky is falling. All right, I don't think this means that Boone is done and Judge has had enough of him. No, it's just something that you nip in the butt and you move on from it. But you do worry about it from Judge's perspective because, Judge may feel that he's fine and then he goes back out to right field and let's say he's trying to throw somebody out at second base and he throws it how he normally would throw it at 100% and he ends up hurting himself again and then you lose Aaron Judge for the rest of the year and then there really goes the Yankees' chances of doing anything. So everybody's got to be on the same page. Everybody's got to make sure that when he's ready to take the field again, he's ready. Don't want to put him back out there prematurely. So, but that was a bit of a interesting thing that came about from yesterday. But look, Yankees are playing, compared to where they were to where they are now, they're playing better baseball. And I'm hoping that they could carry this momentum to the Bronx for this 4-game set coming up with the Red Sox. Because, again, that's really going to determine to me what they really are made of. I feel a lot better about them getting into the postseason because, last week and a half ago, I was saying, I was kind of starting to question, are they even going to make the playoffs at all? When they were half game up on the Guardians. But now that they've kind of the schedule's kind of softened up a little bit, and they've been stacking up these wins against some inferior teams. Now you kind of feel a little bit better about their chances to get in. But now I got to see what they do against these better teams, because then that'll show me, hey, they can hang with these teams. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think I feel better about their chances to get in, but now it's all about how are they going to perform once they get there, because you're going to be facing good pitching. They're not going to be hitting 9 home runs against really good pitching in the postseason. It's not going to happen. They got to be very good in tight games. Now, I think they have different dimensions to their game that they haven't had in the past. You got guys that could steal bases. Situational baseball. That's the other thing Caballero's good at. Caballero could lay down a bunt, too. Some guys got to improve on their bunting, but they got the speed on the base paths. They have the ability, to steal bags. They got the ability. They got speed. They got speed. That's something they don't have. They have they haven't had. They have slugging. They got the speed. This lineup definitely is a lot more diverse as opposed to what they've had in the past. Definitely, I think it's a better lineup than what you saw last year, and that's with Juan Soto. But there's still guys that they're waiting on to get back. Yarborough and Fernando Cruz on the pitching side, they're going to be on their way back. Hedrick went on the IL. Loizaga had a setback, so he's probably done for the year. So, we'll be getting reinforcements in the bullpen. I think really for me right now, my biggest concern for this team going forward, I don't know, and I always have concerns going into the postseason that they're not going to hit, but I think it's really going to come down to what is this starting pitching staff going to do when we get to the postseason, because Max Fried has not pitched well. Carlos Rodon can be hit or miss. He had a couple of good starts against the Guardians, but the start against the Royals and then the start against the Dodgers in the World Series, right? And then there's the unknowns. Is Will Warren going to get a postseason start? Is Cam Schlittler going to get a postseason start? We saw Luis Gil he pitched, I forgot, he did pitch in the ALCS. And he also pitched against the Dodgers as well. He pitched in the one game the Yankees did win in the World Series. We'll have to see. But I think that's what it's going to come down to. I'd feel a lot more confident if we had a healthy Garrett Cole. If a healthy Garrett Cole was on this staff right now, I would feel very confident going into the postseason with this rotation. But because of the massive step back that Max Fried took, you got to have somebody to depend on. Who's it going to be? And if it's not him, it's not Rodon, and then you got these young guys. Luis Gil will be going into his second postseason, but he also hasn't pitched that much this year. Cam Schlittler, they just brought him up. Will Warren, didn't expect him to be a part of the rotation until all the injuries happened, and now this was his rookie year. I don't know. That's probably the biggest concern right now, because with the lineup and the hitting, there are guys in that lineup that I have full confidence in that they're going to shine in the postseason. Obviously, Giancarlo Stanton is one of those players. And Cody Bellinger's played in the World Series. And some of the guys on the team, obviously, Judge, Stanton played in the World Series last year, obviously. They played in the World Series last year against the Dodgers. But Aaron Judge needs to come up big in the postseason. He has to. If Aaron Judge could be Aaron Judge in the playoffs this year, that could go a long way for the team as well. So, look, this game, a lot of fun to watch last night, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I've been saying that for weeks. But teams are kind of falling back down to earth a little bit. Mariners are struggling after they just wouldn't lose after the trade deadline. Red Sox have kind of faltered as of late. The Blue Jays just lost 2 out of 3 to the Pirates. So that helps the Yankees. That kind of narrows the gap a little bit in the AL East a little bit more. So if you want to start thinking about that again, I'm not there yet. Again, got to see what happens this weekend. But things are turning up. So let's see what they do tonight. Could be more bad weather on the way, so we'll see if they get the game in. Again, 2-hour rain delay. But they got through it. They got through it, and they showed out with the long ball. So let me know what you guys think, though, about the game from last night. Very exciting game. Also, I forgot to mention Ben Rice, the home run, but he also got beat up last night. Got beat up. He kept fouling the ball off of himself, and then took a ball to the this one of the sensitive areas on the body, and I'll just leave it at that. But it amazes me though. Like, do these guys, these catchers, do they just not wear a cup anymore, or is it just? I mean, I that's one thing that I don't understand. Like, obviously, yeah, it's there's not a high chance of it happening. It doesn't happen every single time you're catching, but you should still protect yourself. I don't know. That's just me. But let me know what you guys think about the game from last night. Very exciting game to watch. Let's see what the Yankees do tonight. Giancarlo Stanton will not be in the lineup. That was kind of the plan. He would start out in right field. They took him out in the sixth inning, which was good. Get him off his feet because I mean at that point the game is out of reach. Yankees were not blowing that game, so that was good. But yeah, he's not going to be in the lineup tonight. So you might see Caballero out there again, which I think try to get his bat in the lineup. He's been hitting the ball very well, and Ahmed Rosario came in late and he had a double. Good to have him back. And I saw someone on social media kind of shoo it off, but I like that he's always out there, hyping guys up after, run scores or somebody hits a home run. I like that. I like that we have that on our team, on the team. So he's been a good pickup for them as well in his limited playing time. Good to have him back. Again, gives Aaron Boone more options off the bench, which is something he really hasn't had in the past. I think the Yankees, when everybody's back healthy, they got a deep bench. You can mix and match and put guys in and out of the lineup however you choose. So, yeah. But once again, let me know what you guys think about the game. So, final game against the Rays tonight in Tampa. Let's see if they get it in. Like I said, the pitching matchup is Cam Schlittler will be getting the ball for the Yankees, and he will be going up against Drew Rasmussen, who's had a very good year, 10-5 on the year with a 2.6 ERA. So as always, everybody, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the video and to the channel, and also make sure to follow us on social media, on the social media platforms down below in the description, and wherever you get your podcast, you can listen to us as well. Just look up Infinite Sports, and you can listen to us if you missed anything. Make sure to check out all the football videos that I had. I had a couple of videos about the Giants and their preseason performance against the Jets, and then also, some headlines from around the league. Matthew Stafford making his return to practice for the Rams, the Bengals-Commanders game, how that offensive line for the Bengals did not look great, and the defense for the Bengals did not look great in the game, even though the Bengals did get the win, and also a couple of starting quarterbacks that were named Week 1 starters, Joe Flacco and Daniel Jones. Make sure to check out those videos if you missed them. So as always, everybody, I am your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, signing off. Have a good one. I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.